Friends, welcome back to the Film Alchemist podcast, the show where we take the movies we love, break them apart, to find out what gives them their magic. Prop store magic. I'm your host, Josh Griffey, joined as always by my friend, co-host, and guy who likes to, I got nothing.
I was gonna say like my favorite prop comic, Alex Dandino.
Oh, a guy who likes to see cats from the inside.
There you go, Alex Dandino.
All right. Guys, I'm sorry if I'm a little bit off this week. I'm recovering from some personal life stuff. Thank you for those of you who sent me kind messages. I appreciate it. We'll try to get back to the comedy, the jokes about the horrifyingly ripping open a family cat. You know, good time stuff. That's what we're here for. We do good time bits. I just wanted to say a personal thank you for those of you who reached out in what is undoubtedly the worst time of my life, but hearing from all you nice people meant the world to me. So thank you very much for that. Thank you to our dear friend Carmelita and Alex for holding it down, man. Love Crossroads. Can't wait to listen to that. So go find that, Carmelita Valdez McCoy.
What a movie.
One of the best. She's a champ.
She's the juice. The real deal.
She's wonderful, tremendous. I don't know.
She's great.
She's great.
She's so great.
I also haven't been working on my impressions, as you can tell. In between crying fits, I have not been able to do impression work. But, guys, the devil waits for no man. So we're back. We're here to dance with the devil this month. Before we go, just quick business. We'll just do business quick today. You know we're on Patreon.com/FilmAlchemistPod. Thank you for the support over there. Really means a lot to us. Thank you. Helps us grow the show, helps us do the show. The YouTube Film Alchemist, the email filmalchemistpod@gmail.com. We're on all the socials you're on, including TikTok. I'll be back to that very soon. So Thank you for that. Make sure you're leaving 5-star ratings and reviews. Share the stuff. Text your friends. All that kind of stuff that helps the algorithm. Go find stuff that we're working on. Our movie for Misfit Parade, we won some awards over the last week or two.
I talked about that on the Crossroads pod. You guys got to watch these movies.
We won a couple of awards. Our festival run is beginning. Sugar Tits made its international debut. It's out into the world.
By the way, we did say this at the end of the Crossroads pod, and because we're recording this today, the Crossroads pod release. Sugar Tits is amazing. Please watch it. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, if you ever wanted to see me as a serial killer, kind of, that's the movie for you.
I see you
another
as one
thing,
every day of my life.
I have been hired to do some video work for our friends at Looper. So if you join us on the Discord through Patreon, stuff like that, you might see me posting some video work that I've been doing for Looper. They gave me a hard task of making a debate that The Road Warrior is better than Mad Max, which I think I delivered. We went through the Bad Boy franchise Fallout. I'm going to be doing a lot of video work for them, so I would appreciate the support over there. All right, enough panhandling. Like Reverend Cotton, we're shucksters. We're just snake oil salesmen of a different kind. Charlatans, whores. That's what we are. We're here out with our little offering plates, right? Just like Reverend Cotton. The difference is we know that we're whores, which maybe he knew, but maybe he didn't. The movie asks us when he knew and how he knew, and did he care that he knew until he got a documentary deal, like so many people who all of a sudden become very introspective and revisionist when they get their documentary deal. That's Reverend Cotton. So today we're talking about what I think is a truly underappreciated kind of gem, a horror gem, The Last Exorcism. So fans of the show will know exorcism possession is secretly my favorite subgenre of horror. I love a good possession movie. The problem is there are not that many good ones, and there are a lot of options. So you have to sift through mountains of shit before you get a good one. I think this is a really wonderfully done exorcism movie, right? It has all the important bits about exorcism, right? The man who's questioning God and the higher powers, the people who are weaponizing God and its ideas to hurt others. It does this wonderful kind of Deborah Logan adjacent story, right? Where it seems like it could be real life stuff and mental illness being preyed upon by both the father, who's kind of portrayed as a small town religious rube, and then this pastor who we are following with the documentary crew, who we know is a small town rube, who is essentially a magician and a cheater. He's out here trying to run game on these poor people. And so the movie at once is an exorcism movie, but it's also a, hey man, what if your bullshit, your lies, the things that you have been pawning off your whole life don't just make you like the fun guy at a barbecue, but have real life and death consequence. So the movie walks this beautiful blend of possession movie and real life scary consequence kind of thriller drama. So Alex, I don't know when the last time you had seen The Last Exorcism was. Opening thoughts.
Been at least a decade. It's not one that I like dedicate time to watch. I love exorcism movies. I think the found footageness of it, which we can get to, kind of turned me off the first time I watched it. I was not turned off by it this time.
I will say, as far as found footage goes, this one is the least obnoxious you can make one.
It's about as good as you're gonna get.
It starts to kind of fade away really fast that it's found footage.
Yeah, the least premisey. I mean, yeah, we'll get to that. Either way.
What do you guys call it? It's much more testimonial. What would you call it? Right, when it's like a Vice news piece more than a found footage.
The framing device gives a lot of latitude.
Documentary.
Because the framing device of it being a documentary, like as someone who makes these, there's a lot of latitude in the edit for like being able to say certain things and make people look like it's helpful. It makes the convention of it being a quote movie much easier to swallow rather than just like found footage as the title would suggest. I love Patrick Fabian as an actor. He's just one of those handsome guys who you hire.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I think everybody kind of knows him more from Better Call Saul now, which has like been his big,
a lot of recognizable TV work.
But he is one of those great, like, hey, we need a handsome huckster type guy to just, and this is like a character he is in a lot of things, which is like
perfectly charming, unassuming,
a perfectly charming dick.
Yeah.
And he's the guy you get. He's wonderful in this movie.
He is so good. It's one of those, it's one of the best little kind of horror performances of this type, right? There's a lot of these little kind of charlatans really preaching the word of God. Mm-hmm. He finds such an interesting little niche in that avenue, right? Where he does the work. He has the theatricality, but we're watching him dismantle and unpack it. It's like a reverse Lord of Illusions, I guess.
Yeah, I like
but whatever he's doing, he finds this real. I mean, it's such a good performance.
He's just not committing to the bit.
Such a better performance. Cool. I think that's the trick to this movie. This movie has such better performances almost across the board than it deserves. You got young, what is it, Caleb Landry
Jones, yep.
The girl who plays Nell is wonderful in this movie. Even the guy who just plays the small-timey ginger dad.
Great.
He's crushing. I believe he's going to shoot his daughter.
Everybody's doing the work that like is not being asked of them, and I think that's what makes the movie kind of exceptional.
And do you think that this is a harder way to deliver your performance in the documentary format rather than having that kind of traditional like, oh, that's an over-the-shoulder shot. Oh, this is coverage. I feel like this makes it puts a little more pressure on the actors to be naturalistic.
Well, I think it gives that facade. I think it's the presentational facade of what a documentary is. Like, Cotton Marcus knows that he is in a movie. Like, he knows that he's essentially performing. Yeah. He's just telling you what he's performing a lot of the time.
It's funny because when you say it like that, almost all of them know what their character is.
Yeah.
So the documentary is watching these people who have to be naturalistically unauthentic.
Yeah, like it's weirdly it's like weirdly inauthentic yet completely authentic because these
Nell
people
and
know
Nell and Abacus or whatever the fuck they kept saying.
Abalum.
Yeah, I know Abacus is the counting thing my kids use. Yeah, Abalom.
Abalam.
Abalom sounds like a Disturbed album, so I just forgot it. Yeah, Abalom. So like he knows who he's supposed to be. He sees the windows and the cracks opening in the family's personal story. Obviously the people of the small town church, they're fucking portraying some things that are not accurate. The dad knows that he's got to be the really stoic, Jesus-y dad who's actually like a warrior on the front lines of keeping sin out of his daughter's vagina. You're kind of watching them all assume these roles. So it is funny because the device is telling us this will be the truth, right? This will be cutting through the bullshit of an exorcism. That somehow these small town yokels don't know what a Bluetooth speaker is.
Well, I also
these
think
people don't know about the steam and the fucking plastic cross.
Right.
So it's offering us truth and naturalism.
I think the other thing that helps,
but in an unusual way, yeah.
Yeah, I think the other thing that helps the movie, like, almost you can dismiss the formalism of what exorcism movies are at the outset, is because this isn't Catholic exorcism. This is like Southern Baptist, like learned, like passed down.
Well, one time they had that thing like, hey, I just got an email. They're ordaining a bunch of us, and it scared me. It's like, oh, you thought there wouldn't be any more birthday party gigs? Like, what are you talking about? Cotton?
It's like this really... It's a really fast... Yeah, like, Cotton is such a... I mean, he's just such a...
Once Cotton realized he's out of gigs, he's like, all right, I get it. Yeah. Because
like,
the nice thing is he starts saying, he's like, I really thought with God, and I was like, they're going to hurt a lot of people. And it's like, oh, like you've been doing since you were literally a child pastor?
I think that's like the thing I love the most about this performance is it's this weird, earnest thing where he's like, oh, man, I really am trying to help people. Like, yeah. If you were actually trying to help people, you would not be doing this. This is how I do
the most good for the world, is this documentary where I show you how I do magic tricks and banana recipes in my sermon. It's like,
oh my God.
So Cotton realizes he's at the end of his gimmick. The exorcism thing isn't going to be a fucking cash cow anymore. So he's like, you know what I'm about to be? An A&E show. That's what Cotton Weary thinks he's doing right now. Right? Is he's going to go out.
Weary.
What did I call him?
Cotton Weary.
Oh, shit.
There's too many Cottons in horror movies. Two is too many.
There should not be more than one character named Cotton.
There should be one character named Cotton.
Probably none. Like, let's just retire the name Cotton. I think we can all agree that's not okay. No more. It's over. But yeah.
No white boys named Cotton, period.
Yeah,
not
definitely wrong. You know, so this thing is this man who's, I just want to be a good man and help the world after, you know, the guy who climbed up the ladder and then pulled it up behind himself so no one else could breathe the fresh air. It is funny because I do always think of it as like, wow, look at this. Like, wow, this is real, man. They found some real shit. Everything in the movie is facade, which is kind of the perfect place to set a movie that's grappling with religion and exorcism, right? Because one of the things, all the exorcism rituals have this built-in, I've always found it funny, right? And it's one of the things I love about them, is the theatricality and the rules of engagement.
Yeah.
Right? That how you place the certain sentences in a paragraph. And when you sprinkle the water, this matters to a demon who's tormenting a child's soul in hell. Is like, oh no, paragraph 3, subclause B, he really got me. And there is a stupidity in the contract, right? That I've always found fascinating. And the movies always lead us to believe, yeah, the demons are also like, well, fuck, dude, we can't do anything about it. These are the rules.
Well, this is why, like, you and I hated Exorcist Believer. Not one of the reasons. But, like, this is why, like, I thought Exorcist Believer was stupid. Because I'm like, hang on. An error in paperwork is the reason the exorcist can't actually show up for the exorcism. It's like, oh, sorry, the paperwork's not in. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, there were many reasons that movie did not work.
Like the subcontracting of God to human beings for being the representation on earth to the point where they can expel demons is one of those like really odd, and like I think this is the thing I like about the move, like that this Cotton Marcus performance is he believes in God. He believes a spiritual man, like he's a person who, but he also but he's someone who but I don't think that's true. Like I think this is the thing is like he's someone who believes the spirituality. It's the same thing we say when like you don't believe in God but you're a spiritual person, is like the spirituality is important for him, but the, like you were saying, the arbitrary nature of being God's representative on earth doesn't necessarily speak to him. So what he does is he uses all these, look, anytime anybody's going to do sleight of hand magic, you're just like, immediately the
evidence.
Red flags are going off.
He loves being this guy. Because I think he doesn't believe in God at all. I find it impossible to believe that these men can get up in front of congregations and spew horse shit. utter horseshit. And maybe I just went through this, so it's different, right? That in your weakest times, people always come to you and they're like, well, at least you got God. And I was like, hey, where was that motherfucker last week? Neither here nor there, right? I refuse to believe that these men in these moments don't look out at our faces and know that they are telling us lies. They know they are taking advantage. They know they are
I think
charlatans,
when it's someone
right?
like that.
What we see, and this is another thing, there's no one who makes you watch a magic trick who does not believe they are the center of the universe, God themselves, and cool.
I was going to say, so freshman year of college at Ball State, there was a guy on our floor who, like, he actually, remember BSU late night, the thing that they would put on to get us not to go to parties and drink?
Yeah.
So he got hired
well.
a couple. What's that? Yeah, it worked really well.
So well.
What was great was we all just got drunk and then went to BSU late night and like ate pizza for free and shit. So we would go after we would go partying because he would perform magic tricks and do mentalist tricks at BSU late night. And look, he was a nice enough guy and I liked him. But we all knew, like, as soon as he started telling me, like, I was like, can you tell me how the trick works? And he showed me, like, the levitating thing. I was like, oh, my God, that's so fucking dumb. Like, everything about this, like, you're capturing gullible people,
yes.
Especially in this movie. Like, Cotton Marcus's character particularly.
Magic is the worst, right? Magic is, I know, again, that you're lying to me. When you're a magician or a preacher, you are finding the people who you are lying right to their face. You cannot help but be a little hard when they're like, look at this guy. This guy's great. He's got all the answers. This guy has mystical fucking powers. You think Cotton's not a little rock hard in the trousers as he watches these rubes ooh and ah at his fucking king-size jack of hearts?
Oh, my God.
He's a piece of shit.
Like,
he's a piece of shit. He's
a
and
huge
this is
piece
where
of
the
shit.
movie gets really good. He almost gets the documentarians and Nell murdered by a crazy dad. Because it starts off and the brother spits and he's like, I'll fucking kill all you. And then he sees, right? He has that great moment, Caleb Larry Jones, where he's like, hey, I saw it, man. I saw you put that thing in the water. He's like, we're cool now.
We're cool. We're cool now, I know.
Because he knows he's full of shit, too. It's like one of the only honest exchange moments in the whole movie. But the movie works because it does not rely a ton on the exorcism and the rules and the mythology. What it weighs on is this girl's mentally ill. This girl is traumatized. And this dad is traumatized because he made a deal with a different Cotton from a different church. And God was going to take care of them because they were doing everything right. Lo and behold, his wife doesn't make it. So this man is taking it as a personal mission to safeguard his life and give everything to Jesus, which at one point might mean that he's going to go shoot and kill his daughter, who may or may not have been raped, who may or may not have been impregnated at a too young of an age and was scared to confront her insane religious zealot father. That's where this movie separates to me from a lot of the other bad exorcism movies. A lot of them get lost in this. We are a Catholic priest. Our job, right? You know, like Ghostbusters Gonna Bust, right? That's their job. They show up and they're going to exorcise stuff. And even when they don't believe, it's kind of lost in this. Well, it's still very Catholic. Every Catholic at some level believes, right? You can't go through that level of stupidity and pageantry if you're not more invested, right? This one really strips that out, right? Deborah Logan works very same. It's kind of this like niche genre of like when keeping it real goes wrong, right? And there is this bit of watching them like where he's sitting there and he's like, I was just making a documentary I wanted to be on between 600-Pound Life and, some house flipper show. Yeah. And oh my God, this dad's going to shoot this girl. Because I can't take out a demon that I know doesn't exist. And I already fucking tried the tricks once. And I've told her father that this isn't going to work and he's got to do this. Those moments of like really dense drama. When you're just watching Cotton have to potentially be judge, jury, and executioner. That's what separates the movie. It's fun when we get our possession moments and the ending is great. But those moments of, oh, this guy he fucked up, man. Yeah, that's where the movie sings and soars above its competitors.
Yeah, I think that the reason this movie works is exactly that, which is it is about a guy who thinks great exorcism movies, like great stories about exorcism. This is why The Exorcist is so good too. It functions off the same basic level, which is it's someone who thinks they have a handle on it because they know, because Father Karras does the same shit. They're like, there's no way this is real. Like, they know the rarity of experiencing this type of phenomena is so infinitesimally small that when you encounter it, you're just spending the entire time trying to search for holes. So, like, to me, so the exorcism scene, when there's like when he like is performing the exorcism, they cut back and forth between like him performing and then him like showing like the smoke coming out of the cross.
When he does that, like the demons in him, I was just like, the audacity. In that moment, you're like, that's Cotton's character. Rude.
Yeah.
That guy has no shame, no boundaries. Like, he's a bad guy. Yeah. I think the thing is Patrick Fabian is so fucking charming.
He's so good.
Cotton is a terrible man that you should not feel bad for when this movie's over.
But I think what's fascinating about, again, exorcism movies, it's fascinating. I think good exorcism movies are about disproving exorcism. I think that's like the key component for making good exorcism movies, for me at least, is that when like your main character, even if they're a man of faith, should be coming from a place of such skepticism that they're like, there's no fucking way this is real. They should just be sitting there being like, there's no fucking way that what you're telling me, this person is not possessed. Every great exorcism movie comes from that place of, this isn't real. What you're doing is a performative art to get out of whatever fucking trouble you're in, so on and so forth. And I think that's why Patrick Fabian's performance is so fascinating to me, because he spends an inordinate amount of time, even when things seem like, okay, we're crossing the line into, oh my God, he's experiencing like the true unbelievability of this. Like in the barn, when she basically starts cracking her back in half, when he finally gets the indicator, like when she says blowing job, he go like, even then, like he's seeing things that he's like not believing.
I do love that he just dumped on her ass.
He's like,
what was that? Blowing jobs? He's like, yeah, you know how much dick I've slung in the pews? No one would ever call it that.
Like, no one's going to call it a blowing job, especially me.
Just dunking right on her face.
But even then, like,
she's like,
even when you're in the face of that, you're the face of a girl like 10 seconds before was breaking her fingers.
Right.
You're like, there's no way anyone in the right mind would do that. And then it's like, wait a second. Like, your skepticism never leaves. And I think that's why The Last Exorcism works so well, is because we're as skeptical as he is up to a point.
See, I think the trick, I would say it a little differently, right? Is I think skepticism is fine. Because a lot of these movies start with a priest or someone who's like, they can't believe how much misery there is in the world.
It's lost faith.
Right?
Absolutely.
They've lost faith. They're broken. I think no one knows more how little godly the world is except for those people. Because all they hear and see is the bad things, the confessions, the problems, the sadness. And then, they're left in their quiet time looking up and they're like, where the fuck are you, dude? What's happening? Why childhood cancer, right? That kind of shit.
Right.
I think great exorcism movies is when you take those guys who are still at the front line, they see someone in pain and suffering, they're like, this could be any number of ails. And I think the movies that settle on these priests are like, all right, so my lot in life is not to spread God's good word, it's to be the shield that takes God's fucking arrows. We are God's little playthings at best, if he exists.
Yeah. Right.
And so, although they know that God has abandoned us and forsaken us, or more likely is torturing us all the time, they see someone who can help. And when all the options are exhausted, the realization is not, oh, God will save us. It's that God is doing this. Yeah. And what I can do is have the fortitude to say, I have taken this path. I will take the fucking barbs. I will take the shots. Sure. That is the great choice. It's not look how great God is, but look at what God is willing to do to us. And the most godly thing I can do is say, fuck you, man, I'll take the shot. Sure. That's what the exorcism does that is great, right? It's this loss of control, this loss of body. That's what the God and demonic possession genre is about, is this loss of human self. Right. This fact that we are insignificant playthings, and what does that mean, right? And all we can do is, like these exorcists, say, fuck it, I'm going to stand my ground. That's when it's working well. And I love that scene in the rain where Cotton's like, dude, I've seen some fucking shit. I got to try to get ready. So Cotton, who no one on earth believes in God less, he's out there in the rain, maybe performatively. But on some point, he's like, God, come on, you saw that dope-ass sleight of hand I've been doing? Like, maybe it is my time. Maybe I am your weapon here. So he's out there desperately searching for answers. I thought that scene was wonderful. Because you can see, like, her on the thing, her killing the cat, breaking the fingers even. This movie doesn't rely a ton on, like, when you compare this to something similar, right, which is The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Mm-hmm. That's like a full force, like, you feel the gales of rage and hell on your face. She's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, I am Legion. Like, you feel it, you're like, fuck, that can't be normal. That has to be supernatural.
Right.
That movie uses the storytelling device of it's all secondhand, whatever, so the narrators are embellishing. This one I thought was also just an equally effective scene, and it's, for the most part, shit's not flying around. She's not throwing people around a ton. Like, there's a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Right? But they're not, it's not these, like, great hell muscles that are flexing. It's just this degrading of this young girl, right? A daughter to this guy, a potential victim to Cotton. He's like, fuck, I'm going to get this lady killed who just wanted some red-ass boots. I'm going to get her killed. Right? And then when she rips her brother's face off, like, fuck, that kid sucked, but, like, he didn't deserve to be fucking maimed. And so there's just this degradation, right? Yeah. And when they settle on, and you watch the local church people slither in, right? And there's great moments when you rewatch this movie where people will say something and you just watch people's facial reactions. They end up being the satanic cultist, right? Like that very basketball-shaped old lady when she's like, she told us everything. She's like, and then walks back in, right? Like, there's a great reaction shot of her first going in the house. And there's so many of these great, just humans betraying each other and being false to each other moments that let this movie really soar. I think another thing is that this movie really sticks a very fun landing. Like, how do you end the movie and the guy who's making a documentary about how none of this is real and we just watched the journey and none of it was real? Well, you go find out the guy who claims he knocked her up did it at a party with the 2 church doofuses you just left, and he's gay. You're like, all right, that's some red flags. I want your opinion. I don't know that I loved the end where the movie just settled on. This is kind of one of the problems with these types of movies, right? The movie is settling on that this sect at minimum of this Christian religion is 100% right. It's what Cotton said at the start. If you believe in God, you must believe in demons.
Right.
So the movie is telling us by proxy that there are demons, right? We see Abalom and the fucking worm and whatever, and that means there is a God who's let all of this happen. And you're like, all right, maybe God got it right once, letting Cotton get fucking jacked up. Well, the documentarians seemed all right. Like, what the hell? My question is, it's one of those things you always have to suffer, right? And again, The Exorcism is the king of this genre. It's built in the Catholic mythology. The problem with The New Exorcist, you peel the Catholic mythology out, the movie gets a lot harder, right? This one's kind of that same thing. What do you make of the just kidding, it's all real ending?
I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with that because that's how most of these go.
You're right. You're right.
Again, like the back half of The Exorcist, literally the first
I don't get mad at vampire movies for telling me there's vampires. That's what they're there for.
I mean, the first 2/3 of The Exorcist movie is literally like until Father Marin shows up, like pretty much everyone's like, are we sure?
Jesus, fuck you. It's like, whoa, damn. True.
Like at that point, everyone's like, are we really sure about this? And then like finally when her face starts getting fucked up, it's like, all right, I guess we should call an actual exorcist. All right.
Like, she might just be off her routine. We don't know.
Yeah. I mean, and it was the 70s, like,
proactive.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Boil some water and give her a dental dam. I don't know. Like, there's so many permutations. Yeah.
Doctor comes in. Ooh, gross. You want a cocaine about it? Don't worry. I'm going to bend your mom over and butt fuck her on the armoire. We'll get to you in a minute.
It's all right. We'll all do whippets and talk about it later. Like,
I hope the 70s were how I always imagined the 70s. I really think of it as the swinging sandwich. I think what I'm getting at is this one particularly. It felt like a big jump to me because the best parts of the movie are this is all horseshit.
I think because I agree.
I wonder if they could have done a version like that scene in the barn where it left a little more ambiguity. And honestly, I think the only thing you have to take out is if it's an actual baby and not like a creature. And if we don't see the fire
I agree that I think the ambiguity, again, this is like the Blair Witch Project thing. Like, the Blair Witch Project tells you how the movie's going to end 30 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I get it. Thank you. Like, I'll watch the rest of the movie now, but I know exactly how this is going to end because, like, there's no witch in the woods. It's just like a fucking creep. I get it. Thank you. Like, I understand. Thank you for telling me that.
If you believe the theory, yeah.
Could be. Like, sure. But either way, it's not the Blair Witch. Like, I think this is like a key component here. Witch. It's not a Blair Witch. It's two people in the woods, if you believe the theory. I think that basically kind of like pulling the rug out from under the, hey, it might all be fake bullshit premise and just saying, oh, it's real, but like certain parts of it are real. Like, I think this is the thing I like the most is it's okay to assign like essentially the religious implications of like Absalom being born after throwing a weird thing into a fire. Sure. Like, then you have to then you do have to submit to the conceit that God is a real thing and all these otherworldly things. However, I think because there is still, like, as small as it can be, the unknowability of seeing versus believing.
Yeah.
That is like, it's that weird, it's like that thing when it's that thing in the Matrix Reloaded when they decide, oh, you have to give people a choice to believe in what they're doing. Like, as subconscious as it is.
Invoking Matrix Reloaded as a positive for a movie. I love that.
But
You're not wrong, though. You're not wrong.
But no, but that's what it is. Like,
we lost entire crops of hillbillies.
Yeah. As small and infinitesimal as the idea is to believe, like, not believe in it after you see it on camera, there is still, like, the small part of choice that you're just like, I don't know. Maybe they're just really into pyrotechnics.
If you just take out if the baby we don't see it very clearly, it's just a baby, like a normal baby.
Mm-hmm.
And the fire doesn't fucking blow up like they're at the Midnight Society telling a story, right? Mm-hmm. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society. This
too much,
baby.
Too much.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, chill, dude.
Whoa, what the fuck? We tell stories. My God,
I'm really afraid of the dark now. Jesus Christ. No, if you just take out those two moments, what it really is still just cultists in the fucking woods trying some backwoods bullshit that they also believe fervently but don't know the truth of, right? To me, that's the one thing that I would say kept this movie from being pretty fucking... Like, this movie to me is pretty flawless in execution.
Pretty good. Yeah, I agree.
But I think at the end just... And they do the thing about, like, she did, like, the dope trope of, like, hey, it's a kid... I mean, this is like an older kid. But it's a kid's drawing of, like, how they're all going to die. Yeah. Like, I mean, I think there's a moment... Because this is the thing, right? The heroic... Cotton's like, now I'll go do battle for the Lord. It's like, brother, that ship sailed. Yeah. Like, that ship sailed in the first 5 minutes of the movie. When you did a banana bread recipe in church, we know you're not a warrior for the Lord.
As soon as you're doing a banana bread...
Yeah. Like, you think God's real and he's going to let that shit slide?
Absolutely.
You think God's real? God is like Michael Jordan versus the Pistons, dude. You can't be talking that shit.
Yeah.
He remembers.
This is like, God is like, oh, fuck that guy. Banana bread sermon,
it's a hugely unearned and uninteresting moment for Cotton. I guess you could say it's reinforcing his kind of childish egotism.
I'd say...
But what I'm saying is if you just keep it a little ambiguous and it's just cultists doing fucked up shit that they equally believe in, and then they kill them, and we all live in the real world. Nothing happened. We share reality with these characters. I think there's a little more... I think it lets it be a little more nuanced and fun.
Doesn't in this regard too, like, doesn't it feel like, okay, cool, so that's where all the money went? You're like, you have like a $5 million budget, like 4.5 of it went to planning this entire thing. You're like, okay, well, you know, you could have just left it out. Like,
just have a normal fire And give me like 5 more minutes of Cultist.
Yeah, like any variation on the. I don't think the ending's bad necessarily, but I hear what you're
take
saying.
that stuff out and give me like a little more, like, you know, an indie and a short round roll up and they're watching Kalima, right? Like, give me that little Temple of Doom scene where we're seeing what these cultists believe, and they're saying words that echo what Cotton was saying, right? They seem hollow as well, right? Yeah. We see that earlier because they're praying with the girl. And if the second time you watch, you're like, oh, shit, they're not praying to the same God, but it sounds the exact same. The father is comforted the exact same as Cotton's false words. He can't tell. So, like, that was kind of my one gripe, is I was like, yeah, just don't put a pin in it that it's all real. Show us what this like, this is the depravity that humans will go to not be alone, to have some kind of greater figure, good or bad or benevolent or malevolent, whatever.
Sure.
The amount of horseshit that we will believe and put each other through to make all of this have some meaning, right? I think it's just it's a movie that so exceeded my expectations constantly. And I think maybe that one little thing at the end, like, you know, oh cool, you get like one extra frame for the trailer, as it like flares up, like, come on, man. That's not the movie I watched.
It's just
the movie I watched is they're like, dude, you got to find some Jesus-y bullshit to say to him. He's coming back with the shotgun. His teenage daughter's up there licking the ceiling, and he's gonna kill us. Like, we got to figure this out.
I think you and I are on the same page when it comes to this, which is, I don't need a Hollywood ending. I need the movie ending. That's what it is.
Sadly,
very rarely are those two
super sadly, man. Most of us don't get a Hollywood ending, man. Things just, they end, and they're not cinematic, and they're small, and it's sad, and it's pointless, you know, and people behind us will make stories and try to make meaning out of it. That's what we do, and I think that's why religion is perfect place for horror movies, man. We want all of it to matter. Like Cotton, we all want to be the guy that thinks we're going to get blowing jobs for doing card tricks.
We want this life
We're
to
not
mean
that
something.
fucking guy. We want everything to matter. We want it to be grandiose. We want Cotton to face down that demon.
Absolutely.
Cotton doesn't make it 2 seconds.
Yeah.
None of them do. And these cultists, they're not getting what they wanted, man. Like, life just, it ends faster than you want, and there's no rhyme or reason, and it's small, and it's sad, man. And so, yeah, I'm with you. I was like, the movie was doing a great job of giving me that journey, right? Because what I really think great religious horror movies are is it's about how far men were willing to go in the name of God, pretending to be the God they worship, right? That's where it is, right? Is the lies that men will tell in the name of God. Honestly, I just saw the new Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. That's a lot what that movie's about too, right? How Caesar's name has been invoked and changed.
It's the selfishness we have with those kinds of things, yeah.
And I think that's what this movie was dishing, man. And it was doing a wonderful job. And Patrick Fabian and the cast were so fucking good. And at the end, it just got a little generic. Like, it just kind of did what all of those movies do. And I thought they did such a good job of carving their own little path. I would have liked to have seen a better choice. But even as it is, I think it gets a lot of miles out of really pretty small possession scenes. It gets a lot of run out. It's shot beautifully. The found footage isn't annoying. Even when the camera's used to murder the cat, it's not so blatantly obnoxious. The real world plausible deniability is really good. The whole cast is great. And that ending, even though it's not what I wanted, it's still really fun and tense.
It still works. Like,
it's a fun little last couple minutes.
This is a thing that still works in the movie. So to that, like, you're like, all right, well, I didn't get the ending I wanted, but I got an ending, and it was satisfying nonetheless.
Yeah, and I think it's just a really well made movie that kind of got lost. It had a sequel where it's like, what if Nell went to college? And you're like, ooh boy, like. The Van Wilder exorcism? Is that what I'm... All right, that's not my favorite. All right. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a really, really good movie that feels like it's just been kind of lost to the sands of time. And I think more people should go back and appreciate all of the wonderful work in The Last Exorcism. That's it! That's not it for our Dance with the Devil. I will not
Never.
co-opt the last week of May to start my birthday festivities a week early. We will do another Dance with the Devil. Things got a little jumbled up over here, so we'll have to see what we've got. Schedule will be what it is. We're going to figure out one more Dance with the Devil movie. And then next month, cinematic gifts to yours truly for the month of my birth, June.
Yay!
Alex is gathering up some fun selections of movies people want to gift me from friends and family. And we'll do that, man. And it's going to be a great time. We have some great curations coming up. You know, as always, we're already starting to talk about the October Mega Marathon. You know that you can go to patreon.com/FilmAlchemistPod for all the best extras we've got. Make your voice have some authorship in the show. We appreciate that. The YouTube Film Alchemist, we're on all the socials, including TikTok. We'd love to see you there. Ratings, reviews, sharing with friends, word of mouth, anything we can do to grow the show. Make sure you go to misfitparade.net to check out some stuff that we're working on. Make sure you stay on the lookout on my personal socials and maybe the Film Alchemist socials for some of my work over at Looper. So much good stuff, man. The two of us stay very busy with projects. Maybe
You
one
just
day
don't
it'll
hear about
matter.
mine.
Maybe one day it'll matter.